Whilst there are hundreds of thousands of dedicated, hard-working men and women all around the world, some of these people, the heads of organisations that arrange fosters and adoptions, just be aware of the mass corruption, the massive rot that is going on within these organisations. And why are they doing it? For money. And for example, out of the hundreds of adoption agencies in California, you know what? If you foster children first, you can adopt them without the huge adoption fee. Okay, things just go through so much more smoothly. You might be up for $500, but really this is a gateway, and there's probably even organisations with that in the name, because I tell you what, they know what they're saying when it's called a gateway. Now, gateway to what? Lots of things that we don't like to talk about and we don't want to think about. So when you can circumvent the adoption route and get a child quicker, and maybe one of your choosing, maybe try them out for size first, well, you'd become a foster parent, and you can foster and then adopt. Oh, that sounds nice and fair, doesn't it? Isn't it great for foster children to be able to be adopted by that family? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Well, let's just stop and think about this. Foster care is supposed to be temporary. It's a stopgap. Not all children in foster care are orphans, like little orphan Annie. No, often they've had to be taken out of their home for a particular reason. Perhaps a parent has gone to prison. Perhaps a parent is struggling with drug and alcohol issues. Perhaps there has been domestic violence in the home. Whatever reason, a brutal divorce. We don't know. There could be millions of reasons, as many reasons as there are foster children. Although there's probably a lot of common denominators. So this foster child going through an agency is supposed to be supported in their life with their foster family. And this foster caring family, it's not a given that they can adopt this child. And for this poor child, it's not even a given that this family will be any good or offer stability or indeed want to keep them, particularly if they have issues. So what do you get? Well, you might have children just thrown back. I mean, I see it enough with animals that are thrown back from foster care, adoptions gone wrong, animals that just get returned time after time. Well, eventually they're getting the bad reputation and they're anxious and they're traumatized, and it's really the fuckwits that don't know how to care for them in the first place and weren't prepared that have ruined the life of that animal. And it's the same with our little children, all right? So let's just say we've got the scenario, child is in foster care. Now what should be happening is the biological parent or parents or family of biological parents are worked with, given support, developed, whatever it is, whether it's a financial stability, a home stability, they need some education, they need some treatment, counselling, whatever it is, that is what's supposed to happen. And in the meantime, the child is supported within the foster care arrangement situation. And ideally, in an ideal world, a foster child after 2 months or 6 months or 12 months, whilst in the meantime having contact with the biological parents, they are then returned to a more stable environment with their biological family, blood. Now, when you've got the situation that a foster family, they're going through the foster system, it's the gateway to adoption, doesn't that leave it open to corruption? Doesn't that leave it open for earmarking certain children not to go back to their foster family? And does this mean that the foster family are, going to be guaranteed something that they shouldn't? And then what does it mean for the foster child's biological family? What support aren't they getting? Are they being messed around? What is going on? They're kept in the dark. They miss court dates. They don't get paperwork. They don't have lawyers. They don't have guidance. They're fucked over royally, aren't they, in some instances? Now, yes, definitely, like in all things, there's a 1% of this and a 5% of that. And sometimes, biological children are better off out of that family situation for good. We all know this. But this is not why the foster system is supposed to exist. But in, say, the USA state of California, foster parents have a fast track to adoption. Okay? It's basically a way that they can adopt without huge fees. And no, not really all this testing. I don't know. I can't find all these clinical psychologists, these people that are devoting their careers, all those years of training, to actually running these psychological testings on these tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of prospective foster parents and adoptive parents. No, I can't find it. And guess what? They don't exist. Why? Because they don't go through all that training to be doing this. Now, I've said this before. There should be some sort of maybe rotational system. Courts shouldn't get to use just one person all the time, and other services shouldn't just be using one person or one service all the time. Or police shouldn't be able to send people for assessments just to one person all the time. We can take that around to the Laurie Vallow case, can't we, where Laurie Cox, I don't even know if she got tested, but off she went to her, the LDS counselling service, basically, and she wasn't seen by a clinical psychologist. The testing, if it was done, was subpar, and it's all a fucking jip. But it's easy for the police to be able to go, here you go, here's the referral, here's this or that, right? They don't care. Off these referrals go to government-funded, non-government organisations who are not audited properly, and it's all a big fucking joke. This is the truth. Not in every situation, and there are people out there doing good, but systems are wide open for corruption, and baby, that's what's going on. So back to the adoptions and the fostering. So not only do you have fostered children who are maybe getting the raw end of the deal here because they are not being supported and getting back with their biological family, they're being alienated from blood, and you have adoptive parents who don't want to pay the fee. They've found the loophole, the gateway. You have agencies. There's hundreds of them. How are they actually audited? Whose little beady eyes are on them 100% of the time? Hey, nobody's. Doesn't cost anything, you reckon? You reckon it might cost a little bit, a little something? Where's my table? These systems are corrupted and they are ripe for exploitation. And who's being exploited? Children. Now, I don't know what has happened in the case of Little Lawson and Orrin Wells. I don't know the assessments that went on that said, yeah, this is a good idea to place two very small boys, toddlers, into a home that's already got two foster children, two biological children, at the time all under 8 years old. Well, actually, they had some fosters that were older at the time who allegedly were smoking pot and things like this. Maybe this is why they were taken back. But at the time of the West's disappearance, 6 children under 10 in a household. Now, that might seem like a good idea to some. Hey, one big happy family. But is this really good, basic, I don't know, care for children that possibly have special needs, who possibly have come from an already unsettled family, possibly with a mother who has alcohol addiction? I've been there. I'm not knocking it, but, people aren't making great decisions often if they are in the throes of addiction. And indeed, if it is true, if the receipts that Catherine's got and left undone are real, and the bio mum is talking to a friend about all the alcohol she's been drinking whilst pregnant with Oren, and with Orson, did it then too, these children have come from a dangerous situation as it is. And was this a good choice? Parents that don't work, so, how are they examples? And, I don't know, not saying anything about that. I'm not, it's hard to make myself clear here. I'm going to run out of time as well on my phone. And I could honestly just sit here and just riff this off for hours with you about it. But really, was it a good decision? And there are agencies upon agencies upon agencies. People think that, if their letterhead has a, official-looking shield, and, there's documents and there's certain words used, and they've got a website. Oh, well, it's all like they're all being, monitored by Uncle Sam, and everything's fine. No, and they can talk the walk and walk the walk. Doesn't mean individuals aren't hired to do good there. But I tell you who's doing these assessments. It's not clinical psychologists who are trained and qualified to actually work out if someone is okay to be raising someone else's vulnerable children. No, it's probably social workers and the like, if that, counsellors, or maybe people with various training. But these big bicky people, this is not what they're spending their time doing, okay? And so when people are saying, asking, giving people a quiz about, were you smacked or were you talked to as a child if you did something naughty? How clean is your home? What's your ideas on routine? But blah, blah, blah. This is all meaningless, because this isn't showing how someone is going to act in a high-pressure situation. And I tell you what's high pressure, having 6 young children holed up into a house. Was Jacqueline and Tyrrell reaching out for extra help? Were they ever under pressure? I think that's a bit abnormal if they never said to the agency who's managing them, this is really heavy going, could we have some extra support? Maybe we could have some counsellors for the kids. Is there any extra financial assistance? Blah, blah, blah. I bet there's been a big bloody silence. And, don't think for a minute that, this is just, you've got all of these layers, like a Sara Lee fucking pastry, of people taking money, putting in tenders and taking money to run these operations, and then hiring staff that often aren't there for very long. It's high turnover, okay? And then the ones that are, what are they doing? Jaded, or are they working the system? I just want you to think about it. Don't be naive. Let's really realize how much danger people are in, how much danger children are in. And, you need to have some cynicism. Don't have this natural naivety. Don't have this natural, big brother, look after me. Wah, it's all right. I don't have to think about it. No, you need to assess everything, question everything, okay? So people, they can walk the walk and talk the talk on their little websites, and they can say they're going to take you through a process. You don't know if it's happening. Now, there's people that are getting screwed over in these systems, good people that aren't getting to adopt children or foster children, and then there's a whole lot of shuffling going on everywhere else for other people. You know, question everything. I mean, I question Tyrrell case because it's said by Lana Smith, the whistleblower, William and his sister were earmarked for adoption early on. Not foster, adoption. So